What's up, everybody? How's everybody going? How's everybody doing today? Happy Sunday to a special episode of Courage After Dark, even though it's not like that dark at all. I hope you guys are having a fun Thanksgiving weekend. Let me check my audio here. There we go. We're good. All right. So there is obviously a lot going on, both in our country and in the education space. Obviously, you've got a lot of the illegal aliens and the ICE and coming in the cities and everything. And it can be quite overwhelming, isn't it? As an American citizen, it feels like if you don't pay attention, then you're naive and ignorant. If you pay attention, you feel like it's doom and gloom. So what's the answer? Well, the answer really is what we at Courage as a Habit always try to encourage people to do, is to control what you can control. Locally, school boards, city council, because that's really where the war is won or lost, is in your mayors, your Democrat radical mayors, your rhino mayors, your school boards, of course, all your school counselors and things that we talk about a lot. But what I really appreciate are people who try to control and produce what is within their own talents. And everybody has it. Some talents are more overt than others, but everybody has it. And so I met these two people at a gender conference at the Heritage Foundation a couple of years ago. And they have an organization called the Paradox Institute. And what blew me away about them is that not only were they tackling the transgender madness and the transgender cult with science and biology, and just destroying the myths that these, what we call, of course, the transgender child mutilation advocates, the CMAs, but they were doing it in with beautiful production. Everything they put out, everything they handed out was it was so well done. And it wasn't this really bloated facts only where it puts you to sleep. They presented facts in a really beautiful way. And quite frankly, our side sucks at it. Let's be honest. They suck at it. And so I've been following them ever since. They've produced several books. But what I saw this last week is that they produced a children's book. And this children's book was called It All Begins with Two. It All Begins with Two. And so I was just so blown away by that, because they basically said, look, this is a big issue, but we're going to do what we can do. So we're going to instead of just talking and complaining, we're going to actually do something and produce something so that parents have something that they can read to children and inoculate them from this transgender madness. And so I'm so excited to have them here today. We're going to obviously talk about their organization, the books that they've produced, but especially this one. And then at the end of the episode today, we're going to probably go for hour 15 minutes or something. We're going to do a book giveaway. Maybe we'll do two. And so all you have to do, and we'll remind you, all you have to do is comment, whether you're watching this on Facebook, or you're watching this on X or wherever, YouTube or whatever. Just comment 2 sexes. Okay, that's easy. 2 sexes. You can't screw that up. There's only 2 sexes. Okay, if you screw this up, then maybe you need to read this book. So it's 2 sexes. Okay, comment 2 sexes, and we'll randomly pick somebody at the end. We've done this for a few other books, so it's going to be pretty casual. And you send us the address, we mail you out the book. Very easy. So I want to bring on the stage the founders of the Paradox Institute, my friends. Hello.
Hi. Thanks so much for having us. This is awesome.
Oh, this is great. We should probably do this more often.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
Yeah, no, this is great. And so like I said, I was so impressed with your organization, and instead of giving you guys an intro, which everybody screws up anyway, like people screw up my intro, I rather you guys I wanted to tell everybody kind of what what you guys do. I mean, initially before you got into this, and then we'll talk about the Paradox Institute, but just kind of tell people kind of how you got into it and where you guys came from, and how come you guys got into this insane battle.
So my name is Zachary Elliott, and I started getting into this in 2017 when I was in college. So I was going into college for architecture, and my formal degree is actually in architecture. Graduated in 2021, But in 2017, I was looking at all of the science denial in the culture, all of the denial about male and female. And I had a biology background in high school in terms of pre-AP biology. I've always loved biology, understanding the differences between across species, within humans, all that beautiful stuff. And I was wondering why there is one so much denial of male and female, and also what the differences between male and female ultimately are when it comes down to it. So drilling down into the roots of what the science actually says. And so I started researching on my own, and then eventually in consultation with biologists and medical doctors. And I was just reading the scientific literature. Just what does the scientific literature say on the differences between men and women, male and female? And so I then started writing from that research a couple books, which we can get into, but a couple books on sex differences, understanding psychological differences between male and female, understanding the biological differences between male and female, and why that's important. And so from there in 2020, I took the design experience that I have with architecture and visual design, and then I started the Paradox Institute. And so the idea was I want to form a nonprofit educational institution that is focused on creating visually powerful educational content that's based in science. So our side, as you know, we typically don't do a great job at making visually powerful content. It's the weakness that we have. And so I was like,
It is.
to combat them in the way that they do, where they often try to produce this visually powerful content. We're going to do the same thing, but even better. We're
Right.
going to produce animated videos, articles, educational books that are visual based, all of that. And so I started doing my own animated videos in 2020, going through different myths that the trans activists will discuss. So the sex spectrum myth, the myth that humans can change sex, going through all of that and showing the actual science in the videos and in the actual transcripts, sources, all that is in there. And so it blew up the next couple of years going into like 2022, it just blew up. And then I brought on, met Cynthia, and then she helped actually make it into a nonprofit. Past couple months, we received the approval for our nonprofit status.
Congratulations. You
We
probably
are
had to
really
wait 5
excited
years, but
about it.
congratulations.
Yeah. I just needed to bring on Cynthia. That was the key.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And so now we offer even publishing services where we'll publish people's manuscripts with full service design, editing.
Beautiful.
And we let authors
Wow.
keep 100% of their royalties,
No
100%
kidding.
of their copyright.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's just a massive operation in terms of how many different things we're touching.
Yeah.
But it's really only just me and
Us.
Cynthia, and then 2 like volunteer writers that write sometimes, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
That's
we're working on getting
incredible.
funding now and expanding our operations and doing this full time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because so you have obviously these beautiful videos. I mean, it is just, in my opinion, these are the best videos that exist. Not one of the best videos that exist when it comes to attacking the transgender cult lies from a biology standpoint. It really is.
Thank you. Yeah, we just released that most recent one up there, sex screening in sports. That one was in consultation with a developmental biologist, sports physiologist, some sports philosophers who write on this topic.
Mhm.
And we also cite a bunch of the scientific literature in there and just walk you through how sex screening in sports works and how it's used to protect female athletes. So yeah, we love covering the science in detail, and you can see there we have in-text citations.
Yeah.
So we're not afraid to show where the actual, evidence
Yeah.
comes from and be very clear. So
Whereas a lot of the gender goblins will not cite sources, or
Gender
they'll
goblins,
cite
I love
part
that.
of it.
Mhm.
It doesn't really like work. They just kind of rely on trying to make themselves sound like cool. Like,
Right.
so they'll use words like, it's radical, isn't science so cool? And
Yeah.
there's no such thing as like a binary. They definitely infantilize it, and
Mhm.
it's a feature, not a bug. So,
So what's your background?
So I'm Cynthia Breheny, and my background is digital art. I was a digital artist in animation. Medical animation actually was my first job in San Francisco. And I worked for a company out there where we did videos for like trade shows for pharma, and they would take it to different physicians. And so that was how I even got started in the industry, was animating like cells and viruses and
Oh, wow.
interactions and things like that. So
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, when will I use this ever again? And now here we are. So, yeah, I mean, I got into this because as a kid, I had what is known now as gender dysphoria. Back then, it was gender identity disorder.
Ah,
For me, it came mostly from, after going through therapy and everything, from family and messaging about gender roles, because my family is Cuban.
mhm.
So very strict gender roles. A lot of, you can't do XYZ because you're a girl. And thankfully I grew up in the 90s. So it was
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
actually girls can do this.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was nice to have that. But it did make me hyper fixate on wanting to be a boy. And I
Mm.
really thought I had been meant to be a boy. My mom hates women, really, really hates them. So
Wow.
she had a lot of that messaging of it sucks to be a girl. Girls are, everything under the sun, manipulative, mean. We're weak. So it was a lot of messaging like that.
From your own mother, that's tough.
Right. And so, but I didn't, because it was part of my background, because I was seeing counter messaging on TV, I thought it wasn't affecting me. I was like, well, I know she's, that's just her opinion and it's not affecting me in any way, but it obviously did. And then I started growing out of it, and I had never really fit in with girls in school and things like that. And then unfortunately there was sexual abuse and things like that in my teens. And so it just kind of came all crashing back of oh, I hate myself. I hate my
Yeah,
body. I wish I was anybody but me.
yeah.
And thankfully, I had wanted to go into plastic surgery as my career. That's what I
Okay.
wanted to do coming out of high school.
Ah,
So I used to watch a lot of surgery videos.
okay.
And in watching surgery videos, I came across the, sex reassignment surgery and realized that's not what I want. So,
That's why they don't show those things in school or
right.
on social media or anything. They don't
Yes.
show that.
Mhm.
They don't show that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And, I would read up on what the recovery was, what the results were. And I was like, no, thanks. So I'm going to go do, my fallback choice of a career, which was digital animation. And I was like, I'm going to stay away from surgery and stay
Yeah.
away from all that
Right.
stuff. So yeah, I got into animation. I ended up doing medical animation because I was still really interested in it.
Mm.
And then, yeah, I just ended up falling into this after meeting Zach, because I was like, oh, hey, if I can help, let me know. And
That's
I bet
awesome.
nobody makes him laugh. So I just started sending him little comic strips that I would draw of trans rights activists. And he
They make
thought
me
it was
laugh
so
all the
funny.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
They're-
make me laugh every day. If it wasn't,
Yeah.
my team would be very miserable. It wasn't for the CMAs. They make us laugh every day, every day.
Yes.
Them and the
They're
woke white women.
hilarious.
They're
Yeah.
great. They're great. They're unintentionally
So,
hilarious.
yeah,
So,
it was great.
it was very fortunate for you that you grew up in a time where we didn't have this transgender ideology swimming in
Yes.
schools. They would have
Yeah.
100% put you on the irreversible drugs. And
Oh, yeah.
this is what we always say, most of the kids, unfortunately, when they get into it, do suffer from some sort of abuse
Right.
or
Mhm.
some sort of pre-existing comorbidities. And
Mhm.
they don't let them to grow out of it. They don't allow them to solve those
Mhm.
problems. And then, thankfully for you, you grew up in a time where you didn't have you grew up in a time where there was guidance counselors, not school counselors,
Right.
like what we were exposing, that it was put you on there, separate you from your family even more, and
Mhm.
just never let you organically figure out your issues.
Yeah, it was. I'm very thankful that I grew up in the 90s, because I had friends who were guys who thought they were being helpful by affirming, and but back then it wasn't affirming. It
It
was
wasn't
just,
affirming.
you're
Yeah.
one of the guys.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah. They
whatever.
didn't know.
Yeah,
Right. It wasn't that.
and
Right.
yeah. So It was, but even though they did that, I was still hyper aware of the fact that I was not a boy. I felt this weird sensation occasionally where it was like, isn't it like wrong of me to assume I know what it feels like to be a boy because I'm not one? And that
Right.
would be weird if they assumed they knew what it felt like to be me. So it's really,
Yeah.
it like there, you've always got those voices, like, you know, telling you right from wrong, that little
Yeah.
Jimmy Cricket on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, what's
Um,
interesting
so
about
yeah.
that is that everybody has that voice, but in K through 12 today, they silence that voice very early on
Yes.
and through mental health
Mhm.
initiatives. Not the mental health that actually is helpful, but
Mhm.
these mental health that tells girls that they have to be empathetic and kind and understanding, compassionate, and they're marginalized people. And so when you deliver that
Mhm.
message from kindergarten on, that voice actually is muted, which actually keeps them
Yeah.
safe, which keeps women safe. And so this is why the women in sports, women in locker rooms and prisons and spas and everything it's so damaging, because they're putting women in danger and then getting women to silence themselves, and then to do it very early on in K through
Mhm.
12. So so
Yeah.
the Paradox Institute. So let me ask you guys, and again, I don't, I'm not much of an interviewer. We're just sitting here have conversations, and you've now been around a lot of scientists, a lot of doctors, a lot of medical professionals, right? Probably more than, let's say, someone like Courage is a Habit, who really deals with the education side. In your opinion, how, and there's not any one answer, I'm sure, but in your opinion, how was it that scientists and medical professionals, people who are supposed to be at the hard science, fell for something as ridiculous as a trans child being born in the wrong body? That sounds like something a very psychotic person would say. And now we've got the medical community co-signing it, like the American Academy of Pediatrics and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
In your experience, what do you think happened there?
I mean, I'd say part of it is a progressive, the idea that they feel like they're being progressive because it's a continuation of the civil rights frontier of pushing further and further in terms of allowing people to be themselves, because it's wrapped up in an idea that they are trying to achieve their actual self or realize their actual self, and so we're going to help them achieve that. And they're saying that they identify this way and they're having all this pain, so why don't we just help them become that, and we can eliminate their pain and suffering. That's part of the idea, but
Yeah.
I know that's not just the only motivation. There's
Well,
a lot of diversity in motivations
I
too.
think academics are maybe a little bit more susceptible because there's this idea in academia that you can never say something 100% one way. You can never be 100% sure of something because you always want to leave the possibility open for some new theory or some new proof to come in and challenge it.
Mhm.
So I think academics get into that headspace of like, well, I can never be sure. So maybe this is true. Let's explore it. It's kind of interesting. It's counter to the current narrative. That's exciting. And so they allow these people to come in
Mhm.
and act like experts and infect them with these ideas. John Money did that in
Mhm.
spades.
Mhm.
That's right. He absolutely
And
did.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was in hospitals teaching that that amputees wanted to ejaculate from their amputations. It was crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like teaching this,
Yeah.
and no one was going, this is crazy.
Yeah.
That's you're a crazy person.
And
Please leave.
Yeah.
academics overall tend to be very high openness to experience and very high empathy levels in terms of not like a toxic empathy, too much empathy where you're basically just saying, "Oh, I agree with you completely on that, and I feel you completely, and your feelings are 100%
Mm.
valid and true." And so that's a big problem too. A lot of academics have that super high empathy where it becomes into like toxic levels,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's a big part of it. And then, yeah, like I said, openness to experience as well, which is just being open to new things, attaching yourself to them as if they're true and good, and yeah.
That's
Yeah.
scary because, I think over the last several years, along with COVID, of course, we really started to see just how dumb a lot of experts are, for a lack of a better term. That's really what it is, because a normal person would look at certain things and go, logically speaking, why do you think masks work? You wear it here, but then you don't wear it here. It's just like these logical things.
Mhm.
And you get these scientists standing on things and you go, okay, I understand you're a scientist. And up until that point, the medical community, and I cover the medical community and every scientist and everything, they've enjoyed almost like 100% trust by average people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so then you got COVID happened, and then you saw how dumb they were about it. And then right on the heels of that, you got this explosion of the trans ideology, which lot of it started in schools, but the medical community didn't stop it.
Right.
Mhm.
They came out and co-signed
Yeah.
it, even when the
Yeah.
detransitioners came out. And you're like,
Mhm.
and so that
Yeah.
just, I think for a regular person like me, who isn't around a lot of scientists, it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
notice too that all of the evidence that they cite to support transition
Mhm.
for both children and adults,
Mhm.
it always comes from various different medical associations. So they
Right,
can never really cite detailed, high quality, peer-reviewed papers
Mhm.
right,
that show that this is good long term. They can never do that.
Yeah.
It's
right.
always citing a group of medical associations, like the
Right.
American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Medical Association, and all of those are captured institutions that are pushing this ideology through.
There's a lot of money behind it,
Oh, sure.
and there's like all of the success that they report is based on self-reports. And of
Yeah.
course, if you ask, someone who's not stable or someone who's addicted to a substance or a delusion, hey, are you happy now that we're giving you exactly what you want,
Yeah.
even though it's making you really sick?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I feel
Sure.
great. Like, it's
Yeah.
so, and I've seen it on like Reddit forums. I've seen it on like just chatting with people who were trans identified. They will tell you, "Oh, I'm, really ill. I'm not doing well. I'm still very depressed. I'm still very anxious. My relationships are not successful." And but I would never say that publicly because, my transition saved my life. And if I hadn't done it, I would be dead right now. Even the ones who
Wow.
who refer to themselves as rational transsexuals, like we see them all the time,
Sure.
and they will still say the same thing privately. I'm not in a good place. I
Sure.
wish I had found another way.
Yeah.
My relationships aren't great, and then go right back into after they said all this.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't be here right now. It saved my life. So, and it's
That's
my
the cult.
medicine.
That's the cult.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mentality.
Yeah, it's like an addiction where they're always chasing the dragon, basically. It
Yeah.
never stops. It's never actually they never get to the point where they're at peace.
Yeah.
They're just trying to they keep trying to chase it and chase it and chase it and continue to medicalize, to stay on those cross-sex hormones, to stay in that social identity, and they get into more extreme behaviors over time as well, oftentimes to try and achieve that sense of euphoria and
Mm.
peace and finding that identity that they really think they are. But the truth is, if they actually they just have to recognize that they actually just need to be themselves in the true
Mhm.
sense
Yeah.
and accept themselves. There's nothing to chase.
Yeah.
You don't have to chase
Right.
anything.
Right.
It's already within you,
Right.
like who you are. There's nothing you have to change about yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the main issue of why we see a lot of them stay in it, even and like go into it to begin with, is you're running from something and it's
Mhm.
really hard to face that thing or
Yeah.
talk about trauma or come to terms with something.
Right.
It's very hard to even get the words out, like
Right.
that something happened to you or that
Right.
you're unhappy.
Yeah.
So rather than grapple with that hard thing, they're going to do anything other than that to make them feel better.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't get easier the longer you avoid something.
It
So,
doesn't.
yeah.
And the
Mhm.
dopamine hit, especially when you're young, what we see
Mhm.
from kids is that they can't it's hard to move away from the dopamine hit, because a lot of these, most 95% of kids that get wrapped up into it, not only do they have pre-existing comorbidities, as you guys well know, but they're usually all very low on the totem ladder of the social ladder, social status ladder. This is why a lot of the transgender cult we found is it mainly affects young white girls. A lot of times, right? Or the white kids anyway, right? Because they are told that they're nothing, they're white, they're oppressors, white privilege, this and that, nothing they say matters. And then what happens is that the other side of the critical race theory is queer theory. And then when they go, wait a minute, well, I can't be black, but I can identify as this. And all of a sudden I get social status I have never had before. And that dopamine hit is too difficult to come off of it. It really, really is. And
critical race theory and both queer theory, both of those invert the truth in a way, because critical race theory is all about how race is this very rigid thing that you can't identify into or out of, right? Whereas with queer theory, sex, which is something that is actually very rigid and fixed, especially in humans, like that is something that's fluid and can be changed at whim and all that. So it's just two complete inverses of reality.
I think it's really funny because they do this with sex, and they'll say things like ovaries and testicles are the same thing, but it's like arms and legs are closer related. Like you could make more blur than
because some people walk on their hands, you know, like
exactly.
I have
walk on their hands.
I've had trans activists all the time argue to me on X and on other forms of social media that we all begin female in the womb, and that's why all these trans-identified males have gender dysphoria, because they were once female in the womb and they had ovaries and everything, but then their poor ovaries transformed into testes and they were set on the male pathway, and that's where their dysphoria comes from. And we can talk about why that's wrong, but that's a common claim that they make.
Well, actually, this is a great, you know what, I literally was going to ask you, based on what actually two questions. The first question is, has anybody tried to debate you live, like one-on-one? Zach, has anybody tried?
No. I've had interviews, but where it's just a pretty cordial, and even some who might minor disagreements, but no like live debates or anything like that. And there's also not been.
I'd love to see it.
That would be really fun. Yeah,
I would love to see it.
There's also been no substantial critique of my books specifically, because their only response is, well, you're an architecture student, which I graduated, I'm not anymore, but when I was, like, still it doesn't matter. That's an appeal to authority. They never actually bring up substantive arguments, and which is a good sign, because if there were very good arguments against it, they would have brought it up.
Of course,
they would have brought the evidence. But they don't. And I have all the evidence on my side. You can see in the books. I cite tons of scientific literature. Every single claim is cited. So it's just they can't respond to it.
Well, I always think that it's really funny that we've got all these experts, all these doctors and teachers and lawyers and counselors and mental health professionals that are pushing this. And I have for 2 years. Well, it's over 2 years now, actually. Every time I hear it's not happening, you know, those it's not happening people, we all know them.
Yes.
I've offered, I mean, on big shows and small shows and my own show and writing countless times, for those who say it's not happening, if you get on a one-on-one live stream with me and I cannot prove it's happening, whatever your it's not happening is, I'll donate $5,000 to Gleason. I have not had one taker.
Wow.
All these experts, because, you know, we're liars, right? We're liars, and we're just, you know, we're making it up. It's right-wing conspiracy. It's this and that, you know, it's grifting and all that stuff. Hey, great. So easy to shut us up. Just prove us wrong. And then that's it. Credibility gone.
Exactly.
Your books go into the trash. That's it. Easy, right? And that's just like that. All you got to do is come on live and prove us wrong. And you make $5,000 to Gleason. And so I'm going to throw the same thing out today. And everybody, you can clip it. You can clip it today. Okay. Anybody want to clip it? If you're about science and you go, no, this is science, right? Transgender is such a strength of trans kid is science.
Mm-hmm.
I'll invite you to do a one-on-one debate with Zach. I'll host it. I'll shut the fuck up. I won't say a word. I'll just host it. You guys can go back and forth. You both can share your screens. I will say nothing. The only thing I'll manage is the screen. And if you can prove anything in Zach's books wrong, if you can genuinely prove it wrong, I'll donate $5,000 to Gleason. How's that? Anybody want to take him up on it?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to take you up on it. This is what I can offer $50,000 to Gleason. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. It'll never be donated because they can't prove any of it because all they have is emotional blackmail.
Yep.
Yeah. We did a really long debunking of this Forrest Balkai video, and some of the things he said we actually couldn't find in the papers that he cited.
Oh,
so he was just making things up and then saying, "Oh, it's from this paper," and it's like, no, it's not.
So,
nice try.
He's a very common trans activist he does not identify as trans, but he's one of those bros who pushes the trans stuff. And
honestly, he looks like such a weasel too. He looks like he's gonna get arrested for like check kiting or like trying to con old people.
Very sketchy. Absolutely.
They all look.
But
sketchy. All the males.
He's very popular on YouTube. Yeah. He has hundreds of thousands of, if not millions of views on YouTube and TikTok. And he made a multi-hour long, like 2-3 hour long video on how sex is a spectrum and bringing up all this evidence across species and all of this stuff. And I actually take his video in my book, Binary, and I walk through all of the logical fallacies and all of the scientific errors that he has in one of the chapters. And I also have an article on our website about Forrest Balkai that does the same thing, walks through all of his claims, shows why they're wrong.
He said something
like,
and then you don't even know if you have ovaries or testicles right now, like where they are. And it's like, really? So he's an interesting guy.
He also tried to claim like he will pull up crazy things across species. Like, for example, he used the example of a fruit fly, a fruit fly male who has a gigantic sperm cell where the sperm cell is like 20 times the length of their body. And he tries to argue that the sperm egg distinction is arbitrary because the sperm cell is so long, it's so large. And it's ridiculous because it's like, well, yes, we say that sex is defined by gamete size, like how sperm are really small, eggs are really big, but that sperm cell still has a tiny volume compared to the egg. It still fertilizes the egg. It's still a sperm cell. Just because it has a super long tail does not make it not a sperm cell.
Again, they don't do this with anything else. Nobody's conflating an egg cell and a blood cell. Nobody's saying, and like I've brought this up before, the line between species is a lot blurrier than the line between sexes. It's so, but you're not hearing anybody saying the line between humans and pigs or humans and chimps is blurred. And we have 4 limbs and they have 4 limbs. So
sex is so old that it existed before the diversification of species in terms of even going back to the Cambrian explosion 500 million years ago. Sex existed about 1.2 billion years ago in terms of male and female. And it's incredible that something so ancient and so powerful is being denied at a fundamental level. It's insane. It's insanity.
It reminds me of King of the Hill when he just starts like he doesn't like something, he thinks it's ridiculous, so he just yells asinine at it.
Asinine.
I'm like, that's exactly what it is.
Exactly.
Except they just yell transphobe. Hateful transphobe. That's it.
That's us.
So,
but we're happy to put it to be able to educate people on it. It's really rewarding for us.
I'm sure, because you've put out these books are just incredible. I mean, the depth and the research and the sad thing is most people are not. They when you earlier, Zach, you said that they'll quote an organization, American Pediatric Academy of Pediatrics and all those things, and they go, but they're captured. They never cite the studies. 99.9% of people, once they hear those organizations, they'll just go, "Oh, it must be true."
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
And
Because we're
that's
still
why
in the
they do it.
mindset of that's the authority, that they know what they're talking about. They're
Right,
Yeah.
experts. They
right,
have all this research and evidence on their side.
Yeah.
right.
And so when you hear that, they're like, "Oh, wow, yeah, that must be true." But
Yeah.
it's disconnected from the evidence. That's what people don't realize. Those medical associations, they're disconnected from the actual evidence. They're not showing actual evidence. When they put out statements claiming that kids benefit from transition and things like that,
Right.
they're not showing evidence.
No.
At
No.
most, they will show short-term follow-up self-report
Right,
evidence.
right.
And that is not a very
No.
valid form of scientific evidence, especially when it's this, where there's long-term effects of
Yeah,
cross-sex
when
hormones
it's
and puberty
total
blockers.
endocrine
And
disruption.
yeah,
I actually did have a debate in person, or not in person, but it was a live debate
Okay.
when I was defending a swim organization. It was the largest swimming organization for K through 12 in North Carolina.
Mm.
And I was debating their board because there were board members who were TRAs and wanted to have the boys who identified as girls go
Wow.
into the girls' locker room and swim with the girls, and likewise for the girls who identified as boys.
Wow.
And I was asked to come in and debate. They had asked 1 million people to come. No one showed up other than me and renowned plastic surgeon Patrick Lappert, who has talked about this at length.
Mm-hmm.
And I thankfully had just done an interview with a sports scientist, Greg Brown,
Okay.
who did research on prepubertal boys and girls in sports and how they compare to each other. And there's still an advantage before puberty in boys.
Mm.
And so I brought all my research, and the woman I was mostly debating with was just the whole time going, oh, like the whole, and then she would do things like bring up, the feelings. And I told her, well, what would have made me feel really good as a girl who hated being a girl and thought I was weak and thought, I didn't belong with the other girls, if somebody was caring enough to tell me, no, baby, you are a girl and you do belong with the other girls, even if they, you don't fit in or whatever. It doesn't mean you're not a girl. It's okay. And she just didn't know what to do with that. And I was like, that would have been more caring than for someone to tell me that I was right, that I was meant to hate my body, that I was meant to be somebody else other than me, that I was born wrong, and that me not fitting in was correct. Because, there are boys who get along great with girls, and there are girls who get along great with boys. It doesn't mean that, that means they're that sex. It just means maybe you're just an atypical person. So instead of celebrating those differences, they're the ones wanting to jam everybody forcefully into a box to where they're literally mutilating kids. Like they're cutting them into shapes to fit into these boxes.
Yeah.
And then it was amazing because of her testimony and because of Patrick Lappert's testimony, the 90-some representatives voted to exclude all males from being in the female category, and females excluded from the male category. So they kept them separate on sex, not on gender identity. And you and Patrick Lappert really helped save like 11,000 kids from that in that swimming association.
They did try to come back at me with WPATH, and I was like, oh, it's so fun. I'm so glad you talked about WPATH. Because let's talk about the eunuch chapter in the WPATH files. Okay. And let's talk about how some of their board members were members of that eunuch fetish site and how they advised on that. So it was fantastic. They did.
They stepped on a landmine.
They were so upset.
Yeah, because they didn't expect that you knew all that about WPATH.
They did not. They didn't know it about WPATH.
They didn't know.
No, and they didn't have, the scientific research. They tried to combat me on the Cass report and tried to say that it had been debunked by these two people from Yale. And so then I countered that. It was like this really long back and forth. I got into my backstory and talked about the comorbidities that a lot of trans-identified kids have, or kids who are gender confused and all of that. And so I brought my own emotion to the whole story. I brought all of those feelings forward. I brought all of the people I'm friends with who are detrans, who are because then they brought in intersex. So I
Of
talked
course.
about all the people we advocate for with DSDs. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they had nothing. It
They had
was
nothing. They just
spectacular.
everything they said, you already knew what they were
Mhm.
gonna say
I was
because
ready. I
you
was
were
so
ready.
ready. Like, they
Yeah.
didn't know how ready I was.
Yeah, one of the keys is really, like you said, is to flip the emotional weight or the moral weight back on them by saying that, no, I have actual empathy and
Yeah.
compassion because
Right.
I care about people's long-term health and well-being, and you are not looking at that evidence. You are the one who needs to show actual empathy and compassion.
Right.
You are not being compassionate. You're not being um, you're not having any empathy, especially for the girls who have to experience men in their private spaces.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not showing empathy to them.
I
You're willing to show
also,
empathy to this one man, but not
Yeah.
all of
yeah,
these women and girls.
I brought in the case from Canada where there's a guy in his 50s who decided he's a teenage girl and he identifies as a teenage girl and he's going to be on the girls' recreational swim team because age
Yeah.
is just, a number. It's just an arbitrary
Yeah.
construct.
Yeah.
And they let him do it.
I saw that. I did
So
see that.
I brought that case in and they acted like that was ridiculous. And I was like, why is that more ridiculous than believing
Yeah.
you're the opposite sex? What's the
Right.
difference between a 25-year-old and a 30-year-old or a 14-year-old and a 20-year-old? What, like, can you tell me?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. We'll keep
They're
going.
just yeah.
So,
I think a lot of the woke white women push this, as we know, in the
yes.
trans like the mostly that.
Mhm.
And it's disgusting, right? Because their mothers are, transing their own daughters and things like that.
Mhm.
But we also know that there's a lot of high idiot empathy or suicidal empathy, right? As Gad would call it. Their toxic empathy, as Allie would call it. But it's because the mother have a motherly instinct and a nurturing instinct and an empathy instinct that is just gone completely, completely
Yeah.
bizarro version. But what's more disgusting to me is the males. When the males do it, when they try to gaslight the women, that's a special type of hell. Because as a man,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
your natural instinct should be protecting women from really deviant men, right?
Mhm.
So you don't even have
Mhm.
that excuse. Not to say that the woke white women have the excuse, but you don't even have the excuse to say that's just kind of that nurturing side that was weaponized.
Mhm.
You are so weak that you go through your life working your ass off to try to cover for these mentally ill men, saying things like it's not happening and all those kind of things. And
Mhm.
there's so many of these men that we
Yeah.
string up all the time. I mean, we
Mhm.
love when I see it. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I take the time to string them up. I just go, because they are so disgusting to me. As a man, it's so disgusting to me. I go, you know what? I will take time out to string you guys up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It truly,
Yeah.
I think the transgender cult would be. I don't think you guys would have an organization if we had even half the men that were willing to stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely. Because even men who are on the side of reality, quote unquote,
Yeah.
like they still oftentimes allow these especially trans-identified males to go into women's spaces or things like that, and they call them,
Yeah.
they're rational. They recognize their sex. Like, what's the
Yeah.
problem? But it's like
Yeah.
they're still violating women's
Yeah.
spaces. They're still calling themselves she, her.
Yeah.
They're still pushing that ideology. So it's like, why
Mhm.
aren't you standing up to that as well?
Yeah. I've been working on curriculum as well as books for children, like upcoming ones that really emphasize the power of no, like just saying no to something,
Yeah.
because we've lost that. Like, I've looked through all of the curriculum that currently exists. I've looked through so many of the books that are out there, and it's all about, oh, and you don't want to be mean, and
Mhm.
even if it makes you uncomfortable,
Right.
don't say no, and don't say this. Say it
Yeah.
this way so you don't make them
It's
sad. And if you say no, don't be judgmental. And it's like,
yeah. It's
be
all that.
judgmental.
Yeah. Be judgmental. We
Yeah.
need. Well, that's just why we push parents to really. And then for parents, the best way to fight this is to reject inclusion.
Yes.
The idea of
Yeah,
inclusion.
it's what your
and
shirt,
embracing-
your hat, your background
Right,
says. Yeah.
right, yeah. The whole thing, yeah. Because good parenting, as you know, is about exclusion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everything about parenting, and you naturally know it, right? When you bring your baby home from the hospital, you only let maybe like two other people hold your baby, your mother, maybe like,
Yeah.
right, your aunt
Mhm.
or something, right? And so you just, throughout your whole life as a parent, you exclude things from your child always. And then as they get a little bit older, you start to kind of add things in as you see fit. So
Mhm.
inclusion it's a complete Trojan horse, and it always has been, which is how we ended up here.
Yeah.
So that what you're saying there is all based on that inclusion, and there is no place for inclusion when it comes to parenting.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Good
it
parenting is always
doesn't
about exclusion.
it doesn't do anybody on either side any favors, because it never teaches the person that you're excluding or saying no to handle rejection. So they never learn the
Right.
coping skills
Right.
of handling rejection,
Right.
of not getting something you want. So they end up feeling very entitled and then very hurt when something doesn't happen. And we see that all the time now with younger millennials, Gen Z, like, oh my God, something didn't work out for me immediately, or I didn't get that thing I wanted. So now I'm going to go cry about it on TikTok for 2 hours and like,
Yeah,
a
and
whole
film
series
myself,
of
and then film
videos.
myself doing it.
Yes. And have
Yeah.
other people tell me how deserving I actually was of that thing I didn't get. And
Right.
it's still validated. It's like, no, we need to get back to learning how to cope with rejection.
Yeah.
And just on both sides of being able to say no and feel comfortable,
Right.
and being
Yeah.
able to accept no and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So they're not helping anybody
Yeah, we're not-
really with inclusion
we're not really
all the time.
Taught. Yeah, kids aren't taught these days at all how to set healthy boundaries, how boundaries work. 'Cause
Yeah.
boundaries have always been essential just for
Oh, yeah.
humans, like throughout even
Yes.
ancient times. You have to
Yes.
set boundaries, and you have to exclude in the right way,
Right.
and to protect yourself, to protect your kids. And
Right.
yeah, it's just a healthy thing.
Yeah.
It is a very healthy thing. That's why, embracing exclusion is about drawing hard boundaries.
Mhm.
And knowing that the boundaries that you draw are more important than other people's feelings. And for kids, that is the most important thing to teach, especially girls.
Yeah.
Especially today,
Yeah.
but always for girls are
Yeah.
always, right? Because they're, boys and girls are so different, especially, as a boy, the older the boy gets, the less danger they are in. Like
Mhm.
when you go see the kids who are kidnapped and stuff, how often do you see a 15-year-old boy?
Yeah.
Someone's going to go grab a 15-year-old boy.
Usually
A lot
like
of these,
before puberty.
Yeah.
yeah, there's no way. You're not going to grab a 15-year-old boy. They'll kick you in the
Yeah.
nuts, right? They're wild and dirty and they're full of testosterone. You're not going to
And
mess with
they're
that.
fast.
And they're fast, right? They got other friends and their skateboards, and it's just,
Yeah.
you're not going to do that. But a 25-year-old can be kidnapped, a woman. So women drawing boundaries are infinitely more important than boys drawing boundaries. And so the
Right.
transgender cult attacking that sets them up for all kinds of things, right? Sex trafficking and abuse and all those kind of things. So I want to really get to your book, but I wanted to, so first of all, I'm going to stop here and say that we're going to do a book giveaway with their children's book. I really want to get into the children's book because I think that was such a cool thing that you guys did.
Yeah.
So everybody that's watching, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching, or if you're on Zach and Cynthia's channel, there you go. We're going to do a book giveaway. Maybe we'll do two. And if you want to win this book, is really simple. All you have to do is comment wherever you're watching this, and I'll try to monitor it. We'll monitor it. Comment 2 sexes. That's it. You can't kind of screw that up. Just comment 2 sexes. And then at the end of the episode, we'll go ahead and do a drawing for it. And then we'll give it away. If you're not commenting on the chat, then we'll look for it on the replay or something, and we'll give the book giveaway for parents, especially if you have young kids. But before I get into the book, Zach, what is some of or both of you actually, Zach and Cynthia, if you had to name, let's say, 2 common myths that a lot of the transgender activists try to throw at people from a scientific standpoint, what would those 2 myths be? Or the 2 most common, there's a few that they throw around, but if you had to pick 2, what would those 2 be? And then why are they wrong?
So the first one would be sex is a spectrum. It's
Okay.
used to justify everything from social transition to medical transition to any type of major idea that they push. It always goes back to sex as a spectrum because they use the diversity and variation that's obvious within humans and across species to argue that sex is some fluid thing that can be changed at whim. And the reason why it's wrong is, one, sex is a binary based in gamete type. So the type of gamete, sperm or eggs, that one's body is organized around to produce. So males and females, males develop towards the production of sperm, females develop towards the production of eggs. And that's true regardless of what species you're looking at, whether it's in humans or other species. And it's true within individuals. So even those who have developmental disorders, such as XXY, they develop along a male or female pathway in relationship to gamete production and release. So, for example, XXY, take XXY as an example. That is Klinefelter syndrome, where an XXY fetus, they still develop testes, they develop the internal sperm transport systems, they develop a penis, and they often have developmental delays, they have lower testosterone, but they're still male because their body is organized around the production of sperm. They have testes, etc. Same thing with other developmental disorders. We can look at Turner syndrome, where a female is born with a single X chromosome, and she often experiences premature ovarian failure and even heart defects and things like that. But she is female because she developed the body type or body plan that's organized around producing eggs. So she followed that developmental pathway around egg production. And that is why sex is binary. So that's one aspect of it.
Okay.
So just two gamete types with only two ways that bodies can be organized around those two gamete types. And then there's also the fact that sex cannot be changed within humans. So once the tissue in the womb has differentiated into testes or ovaries, or the genitalia differentiating into female genitalia or male genitalia, that is fixed. That cannot change in humans because our tissue is not very plastic. It's not something that can be really changed much through hormones. Even if you do take hormones, it doesn't change anything beyond the secondary sex characteristics.
Okay.
So, if you're taking hormones as a male, you might experience breast tissue growth. You might experience some atrophy of the testes, some atrophy of the penis, but you're not changing your reproductive role. You're not changing your sex, because a change of sex would require that you actually switch your gonad type from testes to ovaries, going from producing sperm to producing eggs. And that can't happen in humans. We're just not developmentally plastic like that.
Right.
And that is why sex is a spectrum in terms of being able to change sex is not true either. So again, goes back to the two gamete types, and it's binary and fixed.
And that's the other common argument.
The second common argument is the argument that we all begin female.
Okay.
And again, like I said at the beginning, so the way you combat that is twofold. One, we at conception receive XX or XY. So we have a genetic profile that's set at conception that is fundamentally sexed. So based on that genetic profile, we will develop down a male or female pathway. So that's one, genetics set at conception. Then two, we are actually physically, in terms of our reproductive system, we're indifferent or neutral in terms of the tissue up until the 6th week. And so what happens is you don't start with ovaries and you don't start with testes. You start with what's called bipotential gonads, which is a neutral tissue that sits in this kind of balanced state.
Okay.
And it's waiting for a genetic trigger to happen. And so what happens around the 6th week is, whether you have XY or XX, genetic triggers tell the bipotential gonads to differentiate into testes or ovaries.
Okay.
So it's an either or. It's not you start with ovaries and then hormones come in and transforms them into testes.
Yeah.
You start in a neutral in terms
That's
of
so
the
interesting.
reproductive anatomy, completely neutral. And then the genes tell the gonad to develop either way. And then from there, what happens is the gonad produces a sex-specific hormone profile that's based on whether you have testes or ovaries. And then that hormone profile differentiates the genitalia, which is also neutral, into either the male or female system. And so it goes genes, then gonad, testes or ovaries, and then hormone profile, and then your male or female genitalia. And so that's the process. So yeah, we don't start as females. We start as male or female based on our genetics, and then we have indifferent or neutral reproductive anatomy that then differentiates down a male or female pathway.
Yeah.
Quite literally, as everybody who's ever lived knows, it's impossible to change your sex. It is all mental, and it's all mental disorder.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
absolutely.
That's
And again, they'll bring up clownfish, they'll bring up slugs, they'll bring up just every animal other than humans. And it's like, okay, can we breathe underwater and fly and do all this other stuff too?
Yeah.
No, then why are you talking about this? Like,
clownfish are so useful because they actually show you what sex change would actually be in humans for it to happen. And clownfish, they start out as males, they develop as males, and then if a female in their group dies, they switch to become a female. And what happens on the biology level is that their gonad literally switches from testes to ovaries. And they go from producing sperm to producing eggs. That is actually what sex change would be. They're fulfilling the opposite sex role. But in humans, that can't happen. All you can do is take cross-sex hormones to like superficially change like secondary characteristics. But there's no fundamental change of the reproductive role at all.
That's why they say that if you want to see the man come out of a obviously we don't use their language, trans woman, right? It's just a man, but you want to see the man come out, tell him he's not a man. And then the violence come right out. You're like, see, it's just a guy. It's just a dude that's mad. You know?
That's what it's ma'am.
Like that. It's ma'am from GameStop.
Yeah. Like, they'll wear a dress and there'll be an ugly man and they'll say it's a woman. The moment you say, no, you're a man, the man comes out real fast. So it's that's why they're just, you know, if they weren't mutilating and sterilizing children, they would actually be a hilarious group. You know, they would be like the funniest group in America if they were just doing this to themselves as adults, and they weren't, you know, like in our movies and in our institutions and in our, you know, every sports sports organizations got to change their logo. If they weren't such a virus to everything, they would be a hilarious.
They could make amazing Monty Python skits.
They would.
Like, really, there was that one from Monty Python about one of them becoming a woman. And it's great.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, they would be hilarious, right? The way they act, the way they think, the way they talk, it would be like just they would be hilarious. But unfortunately, they're not hilarious because they really damage children to very harmful. Which brings us to why it's so important and why I love that you did this children's book. And because you want to hold it up again? Now that we're
sure.
So tell us, I've always been a believer in not avoiding the topic. We always tell parents, always inoculate, be the first to introduce something. Obviously, we don't want to talk about non-binary and transgender and stuff, but because that's in the culture, you cannot avoid it. If you avoid it, someone else will get there first.
Exactly. And the way that our book talks about it is it's very friendly. It rhymes. It's very easy. Everything's boiled down really simply. But we also don't even mention the word sex in the book anywhere. And we don't show any sex acts. We don't show any genitals. We're just talking about the gametes and how it's the same across species and what the sexes are. The way that I handle talking about which gametes come from which person, like which type of human, male or female, is I have a page spread here where we had already discussed male and, sperm comes from males and eggs come from females. And then it says, dads and uncles are some males you might know. Moms and aunts are females where babies can grow. And so that's just very simple.
Very simple. That's awesome.
And then she also has a page of animals and humans where it shows how sperm comes from males and eggs come from females. And it does explicitly say that, but that's the most detail we go into. There.
So it's never like there are so many of these books out there that we saw when we went to publish and we were doing research, and there are so many that draw kids' genitals, like, and it's really creepy. There are some that even show children, like drawings of children masturbating or
Well,
using the
they're in the
bathroom.
school. They're in the school libraries. We've seen them,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And so
Yeah.
it's like I was mortified.
And
I was like, why is this necessary?
These are books that are in the top couple thousand bestsellers on Amazon. So like selling, like they've sold millions and millions of copies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they had even one illustration of just like baby to every developmental stage going up to like from baby to like a
An
elderly person,
Uh-huh.
completely naked, lined up like
Jeez.
straight on the
Yeah.
illustration, like
And then
showing everything for like 7-year-olds.
one of the subsequent pages, like even though they just had everybody naked, one of the subsequent pages, everyone was dressed, but they had a magnifying glass that
Like
was
an X-ray
see-through,
or
like
yeah.
so you
Oh,
could
wow.
see the genitals again. And I'm like, why? Like, why? Who did that? Were they like obsessed with drawing everybody's genitals constantly? Like, why is this happening?
A lot of those
And
people are just, they're deviants. They're sex
yes,
deviants. They just want to
yes.
sexualize children early on. That's really what it is.
And
Yeah.
you read the profiles on the illustrators or the authors.
Yeah.
They're people who don't have kids,
Yeah.
never had kids. Now,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
some of them are like older now. And it's like,
Yeah.
nope, never had kids even, had
Yeah.
no interest in children, but
Yeah.
felt the need to talk about sex with kids very explicitly. That's, you know,
Mhm.
definitely a red flag as far as I'm
Jeez.
concerned.
Mhm.
They can't
So-
reproduce, so they recruit. That's
exactly.
what this the whole
Mhm.
industry
Yeah.
or the
Right.
whole cult is.
So the thing that, you know, I was a nanny for, gosh, a long time because my grandmother, she ran a daycare out of her house. And so I grew up kind of like nannying. And then I, in my early 20s, did a lot of nannying. Like, it's crazy that people think this is an okay way to talk to kids. Like, I've been around, you know, little kids forever. And I'm just like, this is not how you talk to children. Like,
No.
are you insane?
This is not.
Like-
You would have to be some kind of pedophile or some kind of sexual
Yeah.
deviant groomer to talk to kids like this.
Exactly. And they
Yeah.
convince parents that, oh, this is the right way to talk to your kids. And I know because, you know, insert BS credentials. So
They always,
Um,
it's all the
yeah.
credentials. Yeah, it's insane.
yeah. So,
So yeah, I mean this is
crazy.
great because I think every parent should have a book like this. And
Mhm.
so whether you're watching it live or on the replay, a lot of people watching replay, comment 2 sexes and we'll randomly pick somebody, you know, just, and you can email at team@courageisahabit.org and we'll get the book out to you. And, you know, we want, and whether you win the drawing or not, we do, first of all, we want to support independent artists like Zach and Cynthia, because they do put out things that, you know, on their own. And we always complain about a lot of things, but we never do anything about it. And these 2 people are doing something about it. They're producing things that every parent can take and start inoculating their children. So buy their book, buy 2, give one to one of your friends, give one to one of your fellow, you know, your family, you know, your aunt, your sister or brother who have young kids. Let's see here. Let's get the website up here. So you can go to print, right? So you can go to the website,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Go to print.
Mhm.
And then it's in the book here.
Yeah.
And then you can do this here, right? Now this is just a beautifully done book.
Thank you.
And it's so awesome that you guys did this.
Yeah, I've had my grandmother was really concerned when I talked to her about it because she
Look at
was
this.
like, isn't it going to make kids ask questions? And I was like, well, that's up to the parents how they
Right.
want to answer those questions,
Right.
if they
Right.
want to answer those questions. But that's why the book focuses so much on the gametes and their function and in reproduction and creating new life. And
Right.
that's all. And just, you know, that one gamete belongs to one sex and one gamete belongs to the other.
Right.
It's very basic, fundamental information that doesn't go into, you know, when somebody loves someone else so
Yeah.
much, they like there's
Yeah, it's just-
nothing like that at
Yeah,
all.
pure biology. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's what's important. And
How
we're
about
also
that?
working on an interactive app for this book.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And we're almost done with it. And we went through some beta testing with it, so it's almost done. And the app basically works on 3 levels. So you have 3 tiers. The first one is level 1, where you just click on the text and you just go through the book, click on the text, you hear the text read aloud.
Okay.
Level 2 is you click on any object in the book and it will tell you the name of it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
then
so
also
cool.
level 3
No
is
kidding.
you click on any object in the book, and level 3 will explain a lot of detail and facts about those different things, whether it's animals, plants, or any other object like the sperm or egg cells. So it goes into that detail, and Cynthia did all the narration for that.
Yeah.
And then I did the
Wow.
actual coding in Unity, the game engine, for that, and developed that app.
That's
Yeah.
Thanks to
incredible.
Cynthia
I
helping
was
too.
teaching him how to code. It was his first time.
That's incredible what you guys have put out.
Yeah.
The
And
technology and the art and all the science and the
we
research.
definitely want to do more. I'm going to start, like I said, I've been looking at all of this curriculum, and it's like you said, a lot of people send me things and I see people talking constantly. Oh, we should do something. Oh, won't someone do something? Oh, this
Won't
is
somebody?
terrible, isn't this? And it's like, okay, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Like, what are you looking for? And I'll get
Right.
it out there, because it needs to get
Right.
out there, right? So let's go.
Right.
And so I am working on stuff for older kids now after
Yeah.
doing this fundamental one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
going to be
the
very
male,
exciting.
female
Yeah. And
one.
yeah. And we're also
Yeah.
we're also working on the ABCs of sex development book, which is that one's really informative too, that talks about all these different species and how they have male and female defined in their
Right.
species.
And then how their genetics work
Yes.
to determine their sex. Yeah.
But it's
Right.
still male and female. And that's going to be a fully illustrated guide. So hopefully we'll get even more done next year.
Yeah, we're working on. We've been applying to grants as well.
Sure.
So we've
Right.
been doing that. So we're hopefully next year we'll see some maybe come in. That would be incredible, and we expand our ability to produce full time. Because right now it's just Cynthia and I mainly just doing this part time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a full time thing for us,
Right.
even though we want it to be.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just,
Right.
But yeah, so we're
Can
working
you
hard to get it
imagine?
there.
I mean, I always say, like, the thing that the trans activists have on us right now, the only thing they have on us is just time. And it's like, if we could go full time and even like bring more people in, forget about it. You guys are done. Done. Out of here.
Yep. For you guys to do this part time and produce the kind of work that you guys do is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And, you're up against these organizations that are not millions funded, they're billions funded. And so, for those, people out there, you're looking at wondering, how did this happen and what are we going to do and where do we go from here? If you can't fight, if you can't get in the front lines and fight, if you can't help get, bills and laws passed and things like that, then at least donate to organizations like the Paradox Institute. Buy their books. Read their books, give it to parents, buy their other books and educate yourself on it, or donate to them. If you don't have time for any of that, at least just donate to them. And so I've got the link right there. It's theparadoxinstitute.org/donate. They're a 501c3. And so you have to understand that for people like them to do the work that they do, they're fighting against not one or two organizations. They're fighting against dozens of organizations that are in combined billions of funded per year, not in their lifetime. Not like, they've been around for 25 years and together they're about $1 billion. No, combined in their yearly annual budget, it's hundreds and hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
And it's
impressive.
It is impressive.
But
and that's a failure on a lot of the normal, conservatives and Republicans and our side, people that just stop paying attention to any of this and then let them run rampant. And they're not supporting organizations like yours to be able to do work to fight it.
Yeah. It's funny though, because these organizations that are so big and powerful, they are terrified of organizations like ours, like yours, who are small, but make a big impact because we're honest and we're effective and we're not afraid of them.
Right.
So they're afraid of us though.
That's right.
Very much so.
Right. Because the money that they spend is good to blanket the general population, which is where they
Mhm.
hide. But the money doesn't necessarily help with an organization like yours when you're going after their core lies. Because
Right.
money can't cover lies. You can
Right.
deflect, you can do all those things, but you can't hide forever your lies
Mhm.
when you have someone who's just targeting your lies, like what you guys are doing.
Mhm.
And so I think our side needs to do a better job of supporting the creators and the people who are fighting in the front lines and who are producing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, when you're sharing on Facebook and complaining all the time, that literally does nothing for the
Mhm.
fight. It does nothing.
Yeah.
You have to be able to either take action or you have to donate to organizations like yours so that you can continue producing.
Yeah. That's what the other side is also very good at, is
They're
taking
great at it.
action.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like, we have to do that as well.
Well, because they're
all the
totally,
time.
the other thing is a lot of these people are totally unqualified,
Right.
totally like just terrible at what they do. Like I've seen some of the illustrations out there. It's not good.
Right.
But
Yeah.
they have the confidence, man,
Yeah.
of like,
Yeah.
I'm amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Sure,
Yeah.
I'll do it. And so that's what I tell people too, is like, you might feel like you're not a very good artist. You might feel like you're not this or that. Like, reach out to me. I'll help. Like, you want to get better with your skill? I'll help you. Like,
Yeah.
I've done it before.
Right.
I like, volunteer, see what you can just start putting out there. Practice, you can get better. Like, you mean something. Your voice means something. If they can do it and they're just
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
like, then why not you? So
That's such a
a
great
lot
message.
of empowering too.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you should do this.
Yeah.
You should do this. There's ideas like, well, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that. It
Yeah.
doesn't,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's kind of fun. We hear that a lot. You should do it. I go, you know what? That's a great idea. How about you put together a proposal or a plan and then we can help fill some of the,
Yes.
We've heard that a lot too. It's the same type. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say to everybody, like, just you do something too. Like you can do things too. Like the more people we have doing and taking action is it just helps in immeasurable amounts.
Yeah. For every time you say, I can't,
right.
Like, look around at the people who say I can and see what's different.
Right.
Why can't you just start or just talk to somebody? So.
And everybody's perspective and talents are different. Like there is nobody can copy the Paradox Institute because nobody's the two of you. Your talents, your chemistry, your life, and everything produces the Paradox Institute, and you cannot duplicate that. But if you guys have sat around and said, well, who are we? We're just, just two people. We're not, none of this exists.
Right.
So, but it's just taking that first step, that first blog, that first video. I'm not even talking about writing.
Yeah, and it's not going to be perfect. Like
no.
I also tell myself to get over that fear of perfection and that's what's helped me like achieve this over time is it wasn't like it's never like perfect. Even when you get to a master level, it's still not going to be every little detail is not going to be perfect. But like it's stair steps, and that's what I've always learned with even like self-teaching in terms of teaching myself how to do animation or programming an app and stuff. It's just you just be like, I'm going to put my head down and figure this out and like step by step. Right. And I'm going to teach myself how to do it. I'm going to get better over time.
Just make it exist first.
Just make it exist first. Yeah.
This whole book started with scribbles. It just was scribbles.
Wow.
And just a bunch of like circles and an idea of where things were going to go. And then I just polished it over time and it looks beautiful.
It looks absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a big thing. Even if it's just scribbles, your scribbles can be polished into something over time, and that can be really rewarding and make change.
Yep.
So I want to play this, and I know that you guys have seen this. I sent it to you. So comment 2 sexes to win their new book, and then we'll pick somebody like in 24 hours. This is what they're battling. Okay, this is CICUS. Now, CICUS, for those of you who don't know, is the organization that that governs basically the curriculum, that gives the curriculum for all comprehensive sex ed. Okay. I'm only going to play you one video because I don't want to like make everybody sick. But this is the kind of people, okay, that teaches your kids sex ed in school. So you just saw what Cynthia went through in terms of their book, their children's book. They're talking about, look, we don't even mention the word sex, but we talk about biology, which is what I think most parents believe sex ed should be. They created this book for you, for parents. This is what your children, this is the kind of people that are governing your curriculum in K through 12. Let me make sure you guys can hear this. Let me know if you guys can't hear it. So this is CICUS, and this is a roundtable, a webinar that they had that we grabbed, and they have an expert that advises them on your children's curriculum.
You know, all the information that Dr. Evan has provided for us today is critical information for persons who are sexually active.
To fist or not to fist? That is everybody's question. Now, if you are getting into that, self-exploration is awesome. These toys, really good to allow you to understand your own mechanics. We want to make sure you're doing glass dilators and using a cone and understanding your muscles and your skin, and then allowing you to gradually get to this. Some people go into dildo play first and then move into the fisting side. Remember, this is kind of angled, so you got to really understand your anatomy. Lots of lube. Take your time. Listen to your body. No pain, no bleeding, no discomfort. Set the stage for its success. Remember, they go in by first starting with the top, gentle, and then slowly rotating so that now we're at the base that's there. This that's sitting there is sitting up in the rectum. People are like, how is that going to get in me? Actually, it's just the first 3 to 5 centimeters that you need to work, which is, again, what we've been working on with dilators and cones to set the stage. It's all about angulation. Get it in your ass.
And if you want to see more of Dr. Evan working with organizations like CICUS, we need to see bills like REA get signed into law so we can see a funding stream that allows grassroots organizations, state-based organizations all across the nation get the opportunity to work with and be with experts.
REA was a bill that they introduced so that they can use federal funding to give to organizations to push people like Dr. Evans. That was what REA was. Now, they had introduced REA, and then Biden, lost the election, and so that bill's just kind of sitting there. But they are always going to try to push bills like this. But it doesn't mean that your schools are not using CICUS. It just means that they're using the state funding, not federal funding. So first of all, I'm so sorry to everybody. First of all, but these are the kind of people that are managing your sex ed. They will use your tax dollars, not into the hundreds of millions through federal funding, through state funding to push this. So back to what they're talking about with their book, number one, we need to be able to support and fund organizations like theirs so that they have a chance to combat even a little bit of this. So when they put a book like this out, buy their book, donate to them, use the book to teach your kids what actual sex ed is, because if you don't, the Dr. Evans and CICUS and these lunatics are what's teaching your kids comprehensive sex ed in schools.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, she was like the pervy Ocasio-Cortez. That was her energy.
Yeah. It is unreal, but you guys are incredible. Thank you so much for the work that you guys do. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on your Sunday. Not that you guys don't have anything to do on a Sunday. I really appreciate you guys coming on and dropping all the education. And we'll be sharing your stuff. We'll be, monitoring the comments, and then we encourage people to keep, supporting you and buying your books, and especially your new one. So thank you so much for your amazing work.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and thank you for showing
nice to talk to you.
showing all of our stuff too, like visually, like that's amazing. It helps because obviously we're so visual focused with the stuff we create. So I love that you go through our website and show that to people. It's awesome.
No,
and
absolutely.
If anyone wants to debate Zach,
that's right.
The deal is still up. Yeah.
$5,000 to Gleason if you can prove anything he says wrong in his book.
Mhm.
I mean, he's got 3 of them. So literally just pick a page, you know, you got like, he's got to be wrong somewhere, right? You got to be wrong somewhere in one of his books. He's got 3 of them out there, right? So
4 now.
4 now.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. He just
I
released this
released
one.
the Sex Development Handbook, which
Ah.
walks you through how male and female develop in utero, and also walks you through 25 disorders of sex development, understanding their biology, how they develop as male or female, and
Yeah.
also the clinical practice that occurs in terms of their treatment.
And we are trying
Um,
to reach out to medical colleges, biology programs, high schools to get this as part of their curriculum too, because there are an alarming amount of doctors who don't know
Wow.
these things.
So, and this has been, I had doctors, medical experts review this and DSD treatment, pediatrics, endocrinology. They vetted it. They gave incredible reviews for it. And you can see it just uses a very clear diagrams that walk you through the sex development path. And then also commentary, very engaging scientific commentary that discusses each of these conditions and also typical male or female development.
Yeah, no one's debating you, Zach.
Yep. No.
That's not. I'll up it to
Less than
$50,000. No one's
Yeah,
debating.
exactly.
It's safe. I'm not. It's yeah. No one's debating you. See, this is everyone's gonna hear that and be like, no, I don't. I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Yep.
And so this is what happens when you tell the truth and you do the real work and everything. And you guys have obviously done that, and your knowledge is incredibly deep. So I have such a great respect for you both. Thank you so much for what you're doing, and we'll continue supporting you guys. And I hope you guys come back, and when you guys have another project, come on back and talk to me. I would love
Yep.
to see you guys.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you guys probably early next year for something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Absolutely.
in one summit or something. So
Yeah.
all right, you guys, have a great Sunday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you so much. And I will catch you guys later.
Thank you.
So, you know, every time I see people like them who just put out good work like that, it's just it's truly just very inspirational for myself and for our little team here. It certainly inspires us to continue staying in our lane and doing, you know, the best work we can as well. But you know, literally, I mean, these guys are doing this with you know, very little funding. So donate to them. You can see the passion and the work that they have and the quality of work. They are producing things that we see organizations that are much bigger than them are not putting out. And so these are the kind of, you know, these are the kind of new systems and the new pillars that we have to support. We always complain about the systems and all the old guards that have allowed all this to happen. And we complain about that, which is largely true. It really is. And so it's not just about these organizations that have been taken over by woke ideology, but even organizations that have been around for a long time that just haven't done their job to allow all this. And so we just need new systems. We need new pathways. We need new everything. And supporting organizations like theirs, obviously they're doing great work. They're doing you know, beautiful work. They're using technology. They're not afraid of technology. They're creating apps. They're using AI. They're using digital graphics. This is what we've missed. This is what we've been missing. And I'm going to call it in the regular world. You can call it the conservative side, Republican side, whatever you want to call it. This is what we've been missing, which is why our enemies who hate parental rights, who hate America, who are after your children, who trans your children, which is why they have so fully taken over culture, because they have taken advantage of everything at their disposal. And a lot of us haven't. And so now that we see this war on children, we have to support organizations like theirs. And so whether you go buy the book, whether you go donate to them, follow them on X, PDX Institute, and then their website is theparadoxinstitute.org. Definitely give them some support and follow. And Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. I almost forgot. It's Giving Tuesday. So if you're going to support an organization, definitely support them. They are a worthwhile organization to support on Giving Tuesday. So definitely do that. Send it to your friends. And like I said, go buy their book. I mean, this book is just beautiful. Look at this. I mean, God, man, look at this. It's scientific. It's beautiful. You can read it to pretty much almost any age, especially, you know, if you have young kids that are, you know, going to school, you definitely want to get them before. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is absolutely gorgeous. So buy the ebook, buy the hardcover, and support organizations like Zach and Cynthia, what they're doing. And of course, as we always remind everybody, if you don't stand up for your kids today, they will live on their knees tomorrow. So thank you for hanging out with us. Have a good Sunday, and we will see you next time. My name is Alvin Louie with Courage is a Habit.